Hello everybody, my name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from kiloloco.com, and today we're going to be going over MapKit and how to get some turn-by-turn directions or turn-by-turn navigation going. The tools that we're going to be using today are Xcode 9 Beta 2, Swift 4. Let me stop right there. You can do this code in Xcode 8. There's no problem with that, and Swift 3. Essentially, all this stuff is the same as Swift 3. I wrote this application, or I attempted to write this application last week, and all the code's pretty much the same. So if you're still running Swift 3, that's fine, Swift 4, but it is written technically in Swift 4. We're going to be using MapKit, obviously, Core Location, obviously, and then we're going to be using AVFoundation just to make this app a little bit nicer. Now you're going to notice that the skill level is set to advanced. Now the problem with doing the turn-by-turn navigation is that there's a lot of different technologies that go into it and a lot of different concepts that go into it. And my videos are already extremely long. This one's probably going to be around an hour and a half to do anyways. But I can't explain everything along the way. You're just going to have to be able to kind of understand. And if you've seen my videos before, you know that I try to explain as much as I can along the way. But I can't go into every little detail. So that's why it's marked as advanced. So you need to be comfortable with Core Location and MapKit. And then you also need to be able to pretty much create scalable solutions for basic info, from basic info. And what that means is pretty much take this idea and not take it word for word on exactly how you're supposed to implement something, but actually be able to understand the basic foundation that I'm trying to lay for you, and then be able to reincorporate that into your project. This will by no means will this be a finished turn-by-turn navigation app at the end. It'll show you how to do something that's similar. This is a solution that I came up with because there's nothing that's listed out there. So this is what I've come up with. There's better ways to do this. I know there's better ways to do this, and it involves a lot of math, but we're not going to take that road. We're going to go the easiest route possible to give you the basic understanding of how to do this. So with that said, I'd like to give a shout out to Akash Savadia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. My bad. I'm just really bad with names. But yeah. All right, so let's get into it. So let's go ahead, start up a new Xcode project. This is a new simulator, as you can see. And we are going to go to Xcode beta, and we'll just open up a new project. I'm going to do single view application. Call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call this turn by turn. And yep, looks good. And we will be putting this in KL Learning, because that's where I learn ya. And then we're gonna get it right into it. So let's go over to the storyboard. We'll set up the storyboard first, as usual. Alright, so there's going to be three components to the way that this app is going to be laid out. We're going to have an area to display what the directions are. We're going to have a search bar, and we're going to have the map view. So let's get that going. I'm going to start off with a UI view just to place it at the top. That looks alright. That looks alright. Alright, pin this bad boy. And then next we're going to put in a label. And we'll just make it go across so that it can fill up this entire width. And right there is good. Alright, so lines, I'm going to set it to 0. And why did it zoom out? Nobody knows. Okay, so let's say proceed to wherever, and then in 500 meters. Another thing, we're not dealing with math today, so it's gonna be in meters, guys. So sorry, everybody in the U.S. We're the only people in the world that use the imperial system. Everybody else uses metric system. So everything's gonna be in meters. This is just how it defaults to. And then in 500 meters, turn left on some other street, right? Something like that. Looks good. Good enough. All right, gotta pin this sucker. Pin him. Gotta pin him. All right, pinned up. All right, now we gotta get that label in there. No. Search. Gotta get the search bar in there. So when we search for results, it's literally just going to be a search, and whatever it comes up, that's just what it's going to be. We're not going to show any options or anything like that. So that's why I said that you have to be able to like pretty much reverse engineer what I'm giving you, because this isn't exactly how a navigation app is supposed to be. But anyway, now we're going to do a map view. All right. All right. So let's get this map view connected, and we'll pin this sucker too. Pin, bam, pinned. All right, so we're gonna need the delegate from the map view, so let's connect that. We're gonna need the delegate from the search bar. Let's connect that. Let's go over to our view controller, where everything's going to take place. Once again, none of this stuff is optimized. This is just proof of concept, I guess. I'm going to make some outlets. Weak variable. And we have what? At the top, we have a directions label. And that's of type UI label. And then we have IB outlet, weak, var, what else? We have a search bar of type UI search bar. Not sure if we ever need that one, but we'll throw it in there anyway. And then we'll need a IB outlet, weak, var, have to import MapKit. And we will have a map view, which is of course a MK map view. Bam. All right. And there are no weaves, so we're going to take that weave out. Next, what we're going to do while we're here, before we switch back over and connect these, we're going to do our extensions, right? So one of the extensions is going to be core location, so we're gonna need that. So let's do core location, because that's the first thing that we're gonna do. Is we're gonna go into the view did load, set up the location manager. So let's get this ready, and this will be of type CL location manager delegate. That's the one. And we are going to do did update locations right here. Bam. Select that one. We'll just throw in a print real quick. I'm still not used to this new Xcode. I don't really like that it does that, because I'm used to it. It's a good thing that it does that, but puts quotes around the end of whatever you're typing around. But yeah. Okay, so we're gonna need that one. We're gonna need the search bar delegate, right? So let's do an extension for that one. View controller, UI search bar delegate, and then this one is going to be search button clicked. This one. We'll also do a print statement like so. And then I told you that we're also going to need the map view delegate, so let's do an extension for that. View controller MK map view delegate. Oh yeah. And for this we are going to need rendering. So render error4. So we're just gonna return MK overlay render, just a default one, just so that we can have it there. Okay, so before we move forward, let me just go back and tell you what's gonna happen. So we're gonna update our location. Our view did load. That's gonna when we start updating the location, we'll then go into this delegate method, and then we'll write out our code to get the user's current location, right? Obviously, the search bar delegate is for what happens when the user presses search. So that's what that is. And then the map view delegate is just so that we can display the directions on the screen, not the label directions, but that blue path to the blue path, which is the route to the destination that you're trying to find. That's what we need this one for, because this is what draws to the map. All right, let's go back and connect our outlets, right? So we have the directions label, bam, right there. We have the map view, bam, right there. Search bar, bam, right there. And I think that's pretty much all we need. Now, one thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that points of interest are not shown, because it gets really crowded. The way that I'm going to show you guys is through the simulator. And in the simulator, we're going to be using San Francisco as an example. And San Francisco, it is a very crowded place, so there's a lot of different little points of interest. So that's just bleh. Anyway, now we're going to also show all this stuff. We're not going to allow rotating, because rotating kind of messes up the way that I'm going to do it. And that's all we really need. So before we move any further, we have to make sure that we go over to our capabilities. And what we want to do is we want to make sure, let's look for it, maps. We want that to be enabled. So go ahead and enable that. We're going to say routing for a car. And then let's see, what else do we need? I think there's one other thing. I think it might have been background modes that I wanted. Location updates. Yeah. We're not going to really get into background modes, but this is something that you'd have to put in there. Okay. And then lastly, before we move forward, what we have to do is we have to enable the privacy settings for the locations. So it's very weird about there's something really wrong with Xcode 9, and it doesn't like putting in the right keyword for the privacy for the location. I think they try to do too much. As you can see, there's like 4 of them now. One of them is supposed to cover both, always and when in use, but it doesn't seem to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click these. I'm going to just do this one and this one. So the second one and the 4th one. Now, I've tried this before and it still didn't work. Always getting your location. I've tried all of them and they don't work. So what you have to do is you have to wait for the console to log what it's missing, and then you have to go back in to the info.plist and update those values yourself. I'll probably have to do that right now once we actually run this, but let's see what happens. When in use, baby, yeah. Okay, So you have to have those. If you're running Xcode 8, it should work fine. All right. So now everything's connected. We should be good to go. Let's start getting the user's location, right? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to have our location manager out here. So we'll do let location manager equal CL location manager. Bam. That's all we need to do for that guy. CL location manager. Xcode. Haha, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so now we'll do location manager dot request always authorization, right? Then we'll do location manager dot delegate equal to self. Then we'll do location manager dot what else do we want to do? Let's see, desired accuracy, right? It's going to be KCL accuracy, location accuracy. We want it for navigation, so let's find it. Best for navigation, right? Then we want to do, is there anything else that we need to do? I forgot. Let's just scroll down here. Let's see if there's anything else that looks familiar. Heading orientation, monitored regions, range request, request location. Let's see. No, I think that's all we really need for right now. So then we'll just start updating location. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go in here because this is where we come to next. So after we start updating the location, obviously we want to grab the manager, which is the RCL manager, but it's passing it to us right here, so let's just use that one. We'll stop updating location, right? All right, next, what do we want to do? I have to look at my notes because there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Okay, so now we want to get the user's location, and then we want to be able to access that user's coordinates. We want to get their current coordinates, and then we also want to be able to zoom in and see which way they're looking, because I've tried to do the behind the user type looking at them type thing whenever you're in a navigation app. The camera follows you and it's behind you and it's looking forward so that you can see everything off into the distance, right? We can't really recreate that. I couldn't figure out an easy way to recreate it without getting too technical, and I didn't want to go too deep into that, so we're just going to do it a different way. You won't be able to see it in this app per se, but if you were to do this on your phone, then you would be able to see it and you'll be able to modify it. And if you use your two fingers and slide parallel, you can make it kind of look similar to where it's following you, but whatever. All right, so let's get that user's location. So guard let current location equal locations dot first else return, right? So now we have current location, and I also said that we want to store the user's coordinates, right? So current coordinate, and this will be equal to this will be of type CL, and we'll type in 2D, so location coordinate. Bam. So now we'll do current coordinate is equal to current location dot coordinate. Yep, that's how we do it. And then after that, what do we want to do? We want to zoom into the user's location. So what we'll do is we'll grab our map view dot user tracking mode, and that will be follow with heading. So the heading is when you like tap the little arrow on the Maps app, and then whenever you move your phone like this, it will point the map in the direction that you're looking, as opposed to just pointing it north. I hope that makes sense. We're using the simulator; it'll always point north, but this is what you'll want to do if you're using a real device, and you'll be able to see what I mean. All right. Now that we got that, let's just make sure that everything's running smoothly. I'm gonna put this on the 7, and we're gonna run it and see if everything's working so far. If it is working so far, what it should do is when I change the location to San Francisco, it should zoom. Well, it's gonna ask if the user wants to allow the app to use their location, and then after that, it will zoom all the way in and show the user's location, right? And that's if it's working. So let's see what happens. Oh no, guys, why didn't you tell me that I'm typing in the smallness? So what we'll do is turn this up to medium. My bad. All right, so let's see. Now notice it says must contain both this one, NS location always when in blah blah blah, and this one, right? And we already added those. So what you do to fix this is you go and you add it by yourself, because Xcode's not smart enough to do it itself. Yeah. Okay, so you go over to it, you right click, you do source code, bam, scroll all the way down to where your stuff is. Obviously this is me always getting your location, trying to be creepy and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this key right here with the key down here, and we're gonna do the same thing for this key right here. Okay, pretty simple. So double click, bam, copy, double click, bam, paste. Do the same thing with other one. Double click, copy, double click, paste, and that should solve the problem. If it doesn't, then we lose. That's the end of the tutorial, and so long, goodbye, good luck in your journeys. Ah, yes, it did work. Now, the other thing is that's going to happen is that we're going to get this garbage printed throughout the entire tutorial. I'm going to do always allow, right? And then I'm also going to set my location to San Francisco. So it's going to zoom in. See that little heading direction? It's gonna show which direction the user's pointing their phone, right? And by default, the simulator is always going to be north. But getting back to this, all we need to do to get rid of this is go to Google. You go ahead and figure it out, and you just type in like disable OS logging. You're gonna type in this OS activity mode, spelled exactly like this. You're gonna go over to this part right here. You're gonna option click it. You're gonna go to arguments, environment variables. You're gonna press the little plus. You're gonna paste that in here. For the value, you're gonna just type in disable, because that does not help us at all. It actually hinders us because we can't see what's in our logs. So let's run this one more time. I'm gonna put the location to San Francisco. It automatically does that, but if I don't do it, then it'll still pop up. I don't know why these points of interest are still popping up though. I don't like it. Let's see. Did I not? Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. That's not a big deal, but it gets kind of crowded. Okay. Anyway, so now we have the user's location and we know which direction we're heading, right? Right. Okay. So now, what comes next? Okay. So now what we need to do is we have to be able to search. And we have to be able to search for whatever the user wants to look for. So like, let's say it's coffee. If the user's looking for coffee, they have to be able to type in coffee and they have to get directions, right? So now that logic, we're going to just throw into when the search button's pressed, right? Right. So what we have to do is we have to do let local search request equal mk local search request. Gonna initialize that, right? So now we have to do local search request dot natural language query. All that means is that it's in a format that a human can read, not just coordinates, right? So you want to be able to put in like an address or, you know, like I said, coffee. Put that in there and be able to search for it. So what we'll do is we'll grab the search bar argument, right? Search bar dot text. And we'll put that in there, right? So now whatever they search for is going to be what they're querying for. We also have to specify what region we're in. So we have to do region is equal to, is it an MK region? Yeah, MK coordinate region. The center is going to be our current coordinate, right? Because we want it to be within an area that's centered around the user's current location. Hope that makes sense. For the span, we could just open this up, initialize it inline. A span is kind of like a diameter. It's not exactly a diameter, but it's kind of like a diameter. All you really need to know is you just got to throw in a 0.1 and a 0.1, and that'll be good enough for you. If you want to play around with these and figure out what they do, go for it. But this is stuff I can't go too deep into. All right. So now what we have to do is coordinate region. We need to set the region of the local request. So local search request dot region is equal to region, right? Right. Okay, now lastly, what we can do is we do local search request. Oh, no. We have to do MK. No. What do we do? Yeah, let local search equal MK local search, and you initialize this with a request. Guess what? It's our local search request. Bam. Then you can do local search dot start. So MK local search, you press enter, you can get a response or you can get an error. We'll call it response. And you know me, I don't deal with error handling, at least not in these tutorials. So we're gonna put an underscore, block that out. All right, so response is optional if I am correct. I'm gonna just say that it's optional. I'm pretty sure it's optional. Guard let response equal response else return. All right, so now we have our response. Let's see. One of the first things that we want to do, actually, when we press search, we should automatically dismiss the search bar. So search bar dot dismiss, or no, dot end editing. That's what it is. End editing true. That's one of the first things that we should have done. For the response gives us, let's take a look at it. Response, if you do dot syntax, it'll show you can do the bounding region, which is like the general region that we pretty much set in our region, or you could do the map items. What we want to do is we want to grab the map items, right? Because the map items are going to be like whatever this query is, the natural language query, whatever comes back. So the search results. So you might say coffee, right? And there's not only one coffee place in San Francisco. So it might come back with a list. I believe it's a maximum of 10. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I believe the maximum is 10. It's going to come back with 10 map items. We're not going to get too deep into this. We're just going to grab the first thing that pops in there, and whatever the first thing is, it's most likely the closest. So we're just going to get directions to that first thing. So we'll do map items dot first, right? So guard let first map item equal the first map item, else return. And I know I could have done this better, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay. So now we have the first map item. Now we have to actually get directions. Now if you actually look at this first map item and see everything that it contains, you can see that it has a place mark, which is what we're going to pretty much be working with. Has names, all kinds of different properties, but we're going to be working with the place mark. It contains all the location information pretty much. That's all it is. So what we'll do is we'll make a function back up here in our main class, whatever you want to call it, our main view controller area. And we'll say func get directions to, and then it'll be a place mark, right? To destination. We want to call it destination. To destination. Get directions plural, to destination, and we'll pass in a mk place mark, and we'll get that going. All right, so now we're going to take this information, the first map item, whatever's the closest, we're going to pass it in, and we're going to get directions for that one. We're not going to look at whatever else is in there. Not gonna look at it. If you want, I could show you guys. I could print the response just so that you guys can see it, but don't like to get too deep. All right, so I'll print it, but I'm also gonna call this function. So let's see. We're gonna get directions to place mark. That's gonna be first map item dot place mark. And we're in a closure, gotta throw that self on there. Okay, I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, run it so that you guys can see what comes back. I'm gonna just throw coffee in there. We're just gonna be working with coffee. I'm tired. I need coffee. It's been a long day. I've been trying to figure this out. The way that we're gonna implement it, it's not the best way, but it is what it is. It's interesting that it reinstalls the app every time on the new one, huh? Alright, so make sure that you throw that location if you're using the simulator, or else it's going to turn gray and not work properly. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to be able to type in some coffee. I'm going to search. Bam, search. This is what we get back. Okay, looks like garbage. It's not. So if we're going to use the first one, what would come back is Cafe La Taza. And we're going to get directions. See all this? It has the phone number. Look at all that. Isn't that lovely? I should have done a whole tutorial on this whole search thing, but I'm not going to do that. So this is what comes back, just so you can see it. And we're going to get the first one. We're going to get the coordinates and use that to move forward. All right, that's enough of that. let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna get the directions. Jump to the definition, man. Okay, so when we're getting directions, we want to get our start point, which we're going to call the source, and we have to turn that into a place mark because right now all we have is a coordinate, right? So let source place mark equal mk place mark, and initialize this with a coordinate. We pass in our current coordinate. Bam. Super smart, huh? Right? All right. Then we need to turn into wait. Oh, you know what? We're going to actually be working with map items. I'm sorry. So the destination is actually going to be a map item, not a place mark. So we could just do this. We'll do first map item because we have to cast them up. You'll see why I have to do this. Map item. You'll see why I'm doing this change in a bit. Hold on. We have to turn this source place mark into a map item. And we already had a map item. There's no point in passing it down, passing a property to it, and then just bringing it back up. Doesn't make sense, but you'll see. So let source place mark. No. Source map item equal mk map item. Initialize that with a place mark, which is our source place mark. See how we're doing that? Doesn't make sense to, go down and then go back up. So now we have two map items. We have the destination, which is a map item, and now we have our current user's coordinate that we turn into a place mark that we turn into a map item. All right, so now we need to create a directions request. So let direction request equal the MK. I always get confused with these. Directions request. And we're just going to initialize that. Now we have to do directions request dot the source, right, is going to be, guess what? Our source map item. Source map item. Directions request. We have to obviously have a destination, right? Destination is equal to, guess what? You guessed it, destination. And then we have to specify what kind of transportation that we're doing. So directions request dot transport type is equal to dot auto. Bam. And then let's see. We have to actually get the directions. So let directions equal mk directions. Nope, that's a ml, not a mk. Directions. Initialize that with what? You guessed it, our directions request. Bam. Now directions, guess what we can do? We can calculate. See, you can also calculate ETA as well. Not going to be working with that. So we're going to just go with the calculate with the completion handler. We're going to do enter. That's going to give us a response and an error. You already know me. Response. Bam. Error underscore. You already know it. So guard let response is equal to response every time, baby. Else, you know what? We return. We don't play that. All right. So now we're getting a response. So, when you get directions somewhere, when you type it into maps, when you get directions, it'll usually give you 3 different routes. The first primary one will be the quickest one. The other 2 will be other ways to get there, but they'll probably be a minute. They'll be a couple minutes slower to get there. Well, it does the same thing with our response. We have routes. We have several different routes, right? All I want to do is just get the first route because that's going to be the quickest route. just the same way that we chose the first map item. We're not getting too deep into it. We're just going to get the first route, and that's just going to be the quickest, and that's what we're working with. If you want to put that in your app where there's different routes, by all means, but we're not doing that here today. So guard let route equal response dot routes dot first return, and we'll just call this primary route, actually primary route, just because, you know, it is the primary route, because it is what I said it is. That's why. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to start getting the steps from this primary route. So if I access this, what is going on? There's no else right here, that's why. So if you look at your primary route, you do your dot syntax and look at what you can do with it. There's a couple of different things that you could do, right? You could get a polyline, you could draw the entire route on the screen. We're going to be using that. You can see the name. I don't know what the name is. Name assigned to the route. I don't know what that is. Expected travel time. You could do that. We're not going to be doing that. Get the distance. We can do that. We're not going to do that. All we're going to be doing is working with the polyline, which is that blue line that you see on your map that shows you which direction you're going to go. We're going to be working with that, and we're going to be working with steps, because steps is what tells you turn right on so-and-so street, turn left on so-and-so street, arrived at destination. That's pretty much what those steps are. So first, let's work with the steps. Now we want to be able to save these steps and be able to access them outside of this. What is this? A closure? Yeah, outside of the closure. So we'll say var steps is equal to mk step. No, what is it? Route step. And it's going to be an empty array, right? So let's see. I want to make sure that I get this right, because it gets pretty crazy up in here. First thing we want to do, save those steps, right? So self.steps is equal to primary route.steps. Okay, now we have a reference to these steps outside of this closure. Cool. Okay, then what we have to do is we actually have to go in. You know what? I don't even know how I want to explain this to you guys. You know what? Let's draw the polyline first, because this is what's going to make more sense to you guys. Let me see. How do we want to do this? Okay, so we're going to do this. All we have to do to add the polyline, we'll put it up here. Self.mapView.add overlay, and we can do primary route.polyline, right? Okay, so now this is going to add the polyline to the map, but it won't draw it, because that's what we need the renderer for. And as you remember, we have a renderer down here just in case. So what we shall do is, if the overlay that's passed in, overlay is of type MK polyline, what we're going to do is we're going to drop into this bad boy, and we're going to make a renderer, let render error, and this will be a MK polyline renderer, right? And you pass in an overlay, and guess what? Overlay is right there. Just made it. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to specify what this polyline looks like. So what we'll do is we'll do renderer. Let's see, renderer.color. So we'll do stroke color is equal to blue, because that's what they usually do. Renderer dot line width, we'll just say is equal to 10. Yeah. And do we need anything else? No, that's all we really need. Return renderer. All right. So if all goes well, which I'm hoping that it did, then we should be able to see a blue line on our map showing us how to get there. We're not there at the directions yet, but we're about to touch it. Don't worry. We're almost there. Okay. So I'm gonna just zoom in a little bit. Oh man. Okay, it's not gonna. Whatever. I'm gonna type in coffee. I need coffee. So we're gonna search. Bam! Look at that blue line. Woo! Okay, so that must be where the De La Taz is. Cafe La Taz. That's probably where that's at. Right there, right around the block. What do you know? So now it's giving us directions. Okay. So we know how to get there, but we have to figure out how to get those turn-by-turn directions, because right now all we have is this blue line, which is kind of helpful, but it's not entirely helpful. And what you guys came here for was turn-by-turn directions. So what we have to do is we have to set up, or the way that I did it, I don't know if this is the best way, and it's kind of faulty too. So, sorry, but this is a solution I came up with. I tried that Mapbox thing, didn't work. It didn't even compile, so I couldn't use that. Didn't want to look at Google API. I didn't want to learn anything new where it's only specific for one technology. This is using all Apple stuff, so let's just try it, right? So what I came up with was, let's just throw geofences around, right? So we'll do a geofence at each location that we're getting steps for. So for each step we'll set up a geolocation, because if you noticed, let me show you, a step comes with a location as well. So if I do self.steps.first, look at what we have access to. We have instructions, we have the distance, we have obviously the polyline, transport type. Where is it? There's a coordinate in here somewhere. Oh no, it's under polyline. So you have to do instructions, you have to get your polyline. Polyline contains all the information, and then you get your coordinate. So what you can do with that coordinate is you drop a geolocation on top of it. So there will be one for each step. So there will be one right here, there will be one right there, there'll be one right there, and then one at the end point. There will be 4 coordinates that we get. We drop geofences on those, and then when we get close enough to the geofence, we'll get a notification to do our next step. Now, this isn't the most efficient way. I really don't know what the best way to do is, but this is the way that I would do it. And I would actually set it up with a bunch of different geolocation, or not geofences for each point. But in the tutorial, we're only going to do one, and we're not going to optimize it to put out the best answer. We're only going to say, once you get to this point, the next direction is to go to this point and make a left, right? So we're not going to say, okay, I got here, make a left. Now the next direction is to go down here and make another left. We're just going to say, go here, make a left. Okay, I got here. Now what? Go here, make a left. Okay, I got here. Now what? Go here, and then destination's over here. Okay, got here. Now you're here. Okay, that's all we're gonna do. Hope that makes sense. Sorry if it doesn't. Probably doesn't. You'll see. That's why this is a little bit advanced, because I'm having a hard time explaining how exactly we're gonna be doing this. Okay, so this is where things get kind of like, you have to really optimize it for your own app. And, if it was that easy to make navigation apps, then there would be a lot more of them. So let's get into it. So what we're going to do is for I in 0 to primary route dot steps dot count. What we want to do is we want to go in here and drop a geolocation at each point. I'm also going to draw the geolocation so you can actually see it physically. This is obviously not mandatory, but it will help you visualize what's supposed to happen. So we'll say let step equal primary route dot steps I, and then from here what we can do is we can access the step dot polyline right dot location. Coordinate. I'm sorry, coordinate. So since we can access the coordinate, what we can do is we can create a region with that coordinate. We'll create a CL region. So let's go ahead and make that region. Let region equal CL region. Is that coordinate region? I think coordinate region. What am I doing? Oh, it's called circular region. My bad. CL circular region. That's what it is. Okay, so now we're gonna specify it with the center. Obviously, the coordinate, the step the polyline coordinate, and then the radius. We'll just say 20 meters. The radius is a double, which turns out to meters, and then we'll do an identifier. We'll just say that it's going to be whatever the index is. So we'll drop in our step dot polyline dot coordinate. Hold on, let me pull this back so that you guys can see it a little bit better. The radius, we'll just say 20. I did a little bit of research. Looks fine. Looks good. The identifier, we'll just say, is going to be I, right? The identifier will just be whatever index it currently is at. Now we have to actually add this region to our to start being monitored. So all we have to do is self.location manager dot start monitoring region, right? And then we pass in that region. So for each of those steps that we get, and I should probably print out those steps so that you can see what they look like. Step dot. Oh, what am I doing? If I drop it down one, we can access it. Step dot. See, we could get instructions, and then print step dot distance. and then we'll also plot those locations in our to start being monitored. But since we're adding them, the app actually saves those areas to be monitored. So what we have to do is we have to remove each of these every time we're going to go in and get directions. So let's go ahead and remove those before any of this happens. And we'll just do self.location manager dot regions, monitored regions, right? And we'll do dot for each, and we'll do hold on, we'll do self.location manager again dot stop monitoring, and then whatever item we're at, right? So this will loop through. Why is it like the? Is this supposed to look like that? It's not supposed to look like that. Is that right? I'm not sure why it looks like that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, it's gonna loop through each of them. It's like a for each, or loop. It is say for each, but whatever. It's gonna stop monitoring because there's no way to just remove all regions. I don't know why. You can't just remove them like that. Anyway, this just makes sure that we have it's like fresh every time. We're not doubling up every time that we search. So let's go ahead and do this one more time so that you can see what the steps look like. I really should have commented out the search results though. So let's comment that out. Run it one more time, yeah? Let's see. It updates pretty quickly. It's fairly quick, right? I mean, you guys are watching this video forever, so might as well wait, right? So let's make sure that we get this location turned on. We want to make sure it's in San Francisco. Okay, so now I'm going to search for coffee. And it's automatically going to give us directions. Bam, 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 right? Look at that. So these are all of our directions. Proceed to Powell Street, right? So that's the first thing that it's going to say. We're already at Powell Street. Then we turn left onto Sutter Street in 219 meters. Then we turn left onto, and then destination is on your left, right? So all we have to do is we have to get those directions, and we have to be able to post them in here, and we have to do all kinds of stuff with them. But yeah, that's all you really got to do. So let's go ahead and stop that. We're still working with the geofencing. We already added them, but now we want to actually be able to see them. So we're monitoring them, but we haven't posted them onto the map. So we'll do let circle is equal to mk circle, and you initialize this with, once again, a center. So we'll just do region dot center, and we'll do, for the radius, we'll do region dot radius. See how easy that is? And then all we have to do is do our self dot map view dot add overlay, and we add in our circle, right? So it's just like the polyline. So just like the polyline, we have to go down, and we have to make sure that we're checking for it. So if overlay is a MK circle, we're gonna do this. So we'll do the same thing. Let renderer is equal to MK circle renderer, initialize with an overlay, renderer, type in color. The stroke color, we're gonna say it's red. Renderer. We're gonna say fill color, also red. We're gonna say alpha 0.5, and then we'll return our renderer. All right. So now we'll actually be able to see the geolocations that we're setting, because Core Location is observing them, but MapKit wasn't doing anything. Well, not MapKit. The map view wasn't doing anything with that. Like it didn't have the information to present that data. So let's make sure we get our San Francisco going. Let it zoom in. All right, we want coffee. We're gonna search. Bam, bam, look at that. Okay, so this will show you the geolocations that I set up. So once it gets inside, then it will actually trigger. Now with the simulator, I can't show you guys this, right? So the way that I'm gonna show you the concept of this is I'm gonna do it based off of a counter, right? So it starts off 0 and then it turns into 1, and then it's gonna give the next steps, and it's not gonna be sure if they line up perfectly, but it'll be able to simulate it because we are in a simulator. So what I'll do is I'll make the current location go to somewhere like China, then I'll bring it back, and then it'll give us the next set of points, right? And then I'll make it go to China again, bring it back, and then it'll give us the next set of points. So that's the only way that I could demonstrate this to you guys, to show you the concept of how it would work. I won't be able to show you guys going from here to here to here to here, but everything else will be reacting as if I am doing that. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop that. So now we're almost there. We're observing it, and let's make sure if there's anything else. I want to make sure if there's any other steps that I missed. No, I don't think so. I do not think so. Okay, so we also have to update our we have to update our directions label, right? So let's start doing some of that coding too. And it's all going to be done right here. It's not the right way to do it, it's all messy and everything, but whatever. Text is going to be equal to some message. So we have to come up with a message. So we'll do let initial message equal, we want to say in something in so and so meters, right? And so meters, we'll do some direction, then in so and so meters do some other thing, right? So what we'll do is we'll use our steps for that. So let's do that. So we'll do steps, and we'll grab the first one, dot distance. Oh, self, my bad. Then we want to say do something, right? So self dot steps, and we'll get same. We want the same object, right? And we'll do instructions, right? And then we'll do the same thing, but with the first one. So starts off with this, and then do that, right? So let's do that. Self dot steps 1 dot distance, and then self dot steps 1, and then we'll do instructions, right? Instructions. Oh, put one too many dots. Okay. So let's see. Let me see. Yeah, that should be good. So now we'll do initial message. So let's run this again. When we get our directions, it should update our directions label, and it should give us our first set of directions. Okay, update the location. Jesus. Zoom in a little bit, and then we'll do coffee. We'll search. Bam. In 0.0 meters, proceed to Powell Street. Let's make sure that's Powell Street. Bam, it is Powell Street. Then, in 219 meters, that's how long that is, turn left onto Sutter Street. Bam! Look it, we're getting directions already. Okay, that's pretty cool, right? But we gotta step it up, Kyle. We gotta step it up. This is the part where we step it up a little bit. Get that AVFoundation going for you. Yeah. See, I'm getting excited because this is where stuff starts getting cool. Okay, so we'll let do I want a global reference to this? Yes, I do. Let speech synthesizer. That's probably not even how you spell it, but okay. Equal AV speech synthesizer. Bam. Right? And what we want to do is we want to do let speech utterance equal AV speech utterance. And we're going to initialize that with, guess what? A string. Passing our initial message. And then we'll do speech synthesizer dot speak speech. That's not how you spell speech. The heck? 2 E's, not an A. Self dot speech utterance. Now we're about to get real cool. Real cool. Real cool. All right, let's see if it works in the simulator. I was using a device earlier, but yeah, should work. Oh, got to make sure that we get that San Francisco. Got it. Okay. Coffee. Search.
In 0.0 meters, proceed to Powell Street, then in 219.0 meters, turn left onto Sutter Street.
Oh, doesn't that sound familiar? Oh, yeah. We're getting there, guys. Okay. Takes a while, but we're getting there. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. What's next? Okay. So now, like I said, in order to simulate this, I need a step counter. So let's go ahead and do that. Var step counter equal to 0. Since I'm covering my first step right here, I'm just gonna do step counter. We're gonna do plus equal 1 because it's covering the initial step and the one after that. Right? So now we want to access the steps and we want to do it when we go into our location. So since we're monitoring those geofences, we actually have to do something when they enter. So let's do that. So monitor did start monitoring. Let's see, what is it called? I forgot. Did enter region. That's what it's called. Did enter region. Kind of tired. Okay, so we just want to make sure that everything's working first. And we'll just say entered before we do anything else, because when I originally did the prototype for this, it didn't work well. I had to put in a little hack to make it work. This is why this is all kind of proof of concept type stuff and not official, because Kyle is a little hacker. It's true, I am. Coffee. Okay, so we're gonna do that.
In 0.0 meters, proceed to Powell Street, then into 119.0 meters. Turn left onto Sutter Street.
Yay. Okay, I'm gonna turn that down. Okay, so there's one thing that you guys need to see is if it actually enters the region, because that's how we're gonna proceed. We're gonna leave the region and then enter it, and since we're using a counter, that's what we're gonna increment so that we could grab the correct step. So let's leave. So I should be able to leave, and when I enter back in, it should say entered. Entered. Bam! It's working. Okay. So far, so good. Let's keep it up. Okay. What's next? All right. So now, whenever we do this, whenever we enter a region, we want to do a plus. We want to increase our step counter. So because the first one, you're already in it, so it doesn't count. You don't enter the first one by default, right? You have to leave it and then enter it in order to get that first one. Which is partially why I'm going over the first two steps right here. You know, it starts with step 1 step 0 and then step 1, right? So we're gonna do a step counter. We're gonna do step counter. We'll do plus equals 1, right? Now we want to make sure that the step counter isn't out of range. So we'll do if step counter is less than the steps dot count, then we'll do something else. That means that we got to the last one. There is no next step to do, and that we're out of range, and that if we try to force anything, that it would crash. So what we want to do is we want to say that we arrived. Let me just double check. Yeah, so we'll do let message equal arrived at destination. Destination, right? All right. And then we have to make sure that we say it, and then we also update our label. So directions label dot text is equal to message, and then we want our speech utterance to also be equal to that, right? So let speech utterance equal, what is it, AV speech utterance with a string, pass in our message, and then we get our synthesizer, speech synthesizer dot speech utterance, right? So that will update our label, and it will let us know that we have arrived. And then lastly, we also want to set the index back to 0 in case we want to continue after that, so that it doesn't like keep going or whatever. It doesn't keep saying arrived at destination. So step counter is equal to 0. We want to remove all of our CL locations. We could keep these on the map, or we'll just stop monitoring. I don't want to remove them right now. It's too much work. Okay, so we'll do self dot, or we could just do it like this. Location manager dot regions, monitored regions dot for each, not for union, each. We're gonna just do the same thing that we did earlier. Not form, for each. Dang. All right, self dot location manager dot stop monitoring, and then you just pass in whatever region is at that index. Okay, so then we'll stop monitoring each of those, and we should be good. So yeah, that's when we arrived. But if we still have some steps to go, what we want to do is, as soon as we enter into that region, we want to use that steps information to update the label and update our speech utterance. So what we'll do is we'll do let current step equal steps at step counter, and what we will do is we'll say let message equals pretty much the same thing that we said up here. So I'll just copy this. Right, we'll just put that in there, and we'll say current step dot distance, and then current step instructions. Right, I think that's what I want to do. And then we set our directions label to the message, just like down here. So directions. I know that there's a way better way to do this if we just put the variables up here, but whatever. Directions label dot text is equal to message, and then we want to do the same thing right here. Code is so smelly, I know. Believe me, I know. I would go back and refactor this. But there's just so much stuff to do. It's just too much, man. It's just too much. This is how you get a proof of concept going. The stankiest code you can write. That's how you do it. Call that the stink cheese code. Yeah. Alright, we zoom in a little bit. I'm going to search for that coffee. Yes, we are.
In 0.0 meters, proceed to Powell Street, then in 219.0 meters. Turn left onto Sutter Street.
Okay, we've done that before, right? We're going to go to Hong Kong. We're going to come back. This is going to assume that when we come back, so we'll be leaving here, right? So we'll leave here. We're going to go over here. So when we get here, the next directions that we should get are to say go on Mason Street and turn left. So let's try that.
In 144.0 meters, turn left onto Mason Street.
Bam. So that means that we got here, and it's telling us in 144 meters turn left onto Mason Street. I told you that we're not gonna be like checking if it's in there. It's essentially doing all the same stuff. I mean, you just gotta check for more stuff. But So now we're here and it says this. So now when we go here, the counter is going to go up and it's going to give us the next step, right? So from here, it should say, in blah, 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 destination is on your left or your right. So let's leave again. Go to Tokyo. We'll come back. Step
in
counter
77.0 meters. The destination is on your left.
Bam, destination's on your left. That's because we're right here, right? But now what happens when we get here? So let's try that. So we'll go to Honolulu. Come back.
Arrived at destination.
Arrived at destination. Bam. That's turn-by-turn directions, guys. That's as close as I could get it on a simulator. Let's see what happens if we leave and then come back again. It should start over, or I honestly, it might crash. Nothing happened because we removed all the observing, or we stopped all the monitoring. I think that's all I got for you guys. I think I did everything. That's as close to turn-by-turn directions that you're gonna get with like minimum effort. I think this is the minimum effort that you could put in to get turn-by-turn directions. I'm pretty sure, because everything else after this you have to use math. Like I would show you guys how to do the follow behind, but it involves like having to do math. And then also we're working with a simulator, so it's really hard to like show that. There's just so much that goes into this, guys. But this should be enough for you guys to get up and running. So let me just show you that it doesn't just work with coffee. We can try hamburger. Let's try hamburger, I guess. I haven't tried hamburger. You know what? We don't do hamburgers. We do cheeseburgers, right? So we'll type in cheeseburger. Let's search for that.
In 0.0 meters, proceed to Powell Street, then in 104.0 meters, turn right onto Post Street.
So we have a burger joint right here, and it knows that since it's one way, we have to go all the way around, and do that whole thing. So if I leave, the next point that I would enter into would be this one. So when the step counter goes into here, it's going to go +1. It's going to run through the step that is associated with this one. So it should say turn. It's going to say go so long and then turn right on whatever street is over here. As you can see, it's not super efficient, but it says on Grant. So turn right on Grant. So when I come back to San Francisco,
in 286.0 meters, turn right onto Grant Ave. In 105.0 meters, turn right onto Geary Street. In 212.0 meters, the destination is on your left.
You see that? It entered like 3 times. It's a little bit sketchy the way that I did it, also because it stores some of the locations and you have to make sure that you truly do clear them out. But that's essentially how you guys do it. If you want to add multiple locations, I know that somebody requested that. I mean, you just kind of add it in. You would go through the query. You'd do the query twice. You would get the steps and you would append them to each other. And then you loop through all those steps, man. I don't know. This is proof of concept. This is the best that I could get for you guys without, digging into somebody else's software. This is all Apple stuff. I hope that this is a strong enough foundation so that you can do whatever it is that you want to do with turn-by-turn directions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I don't generally work with, map views and MapKit and all that other stuff too frequently. But going through this, I do have some knowledge on it, like a good amount of knowledge on it. And I can try to help you out. But for super complex tasks, I might not be the best person to ask. But I hope that this was helpful. Reach out to me in the comments. Reach out to me on Twitter. Reach out to me anywhere you can find me. The Applied Swift Slack team, I'm still working on getting that automated for you guys. And if you have anything that you want covered, just reach out, let me know, and I will definitely I will try to figure out how it works, and I will make a video on it, a tutorial, a super long one like this one, if I can figure it out. But yeah, alright guys, my name is Kyle Lee, aka Kilo Loco from kiloloco.com, and just remember, code passionately. Alright guys, later.